Welcome, one and all, to the first meeting of the Hypothetical Sports League. Here, we shed light, regulate, and examine the history surrounding non-mainstream and hypothetical sports. Today, to start things off, I'm going to toss the ball to our co-host, Isaac.
So, sports have been around for a surprisingly long time. Most of them actually started out as training drills for either hunting or military groups. So, you have things like lacrosse with Native Americans, and you have everything going on with the ancient Greeks and the entire Olympic situation.
Now, would you enlighten us a bit into why we have some of the sports we have today? I'm very interested. Got any info on that for us?
So, again, like I mentioned, a lot of them were training drills. So, we have things like lacrosse, which was invented by the Native Americans. It's not clear exactly when or how because a lot of that history isn't exactly written down, but it was a exercise for coordination and building sort of a cohesion between the group of people. And you also have things like jousting, which was used to further the skill of swordsmen.
Very interesting. I would like to add some information here on some new and upcoming hypothetical sports. Now, in this, we're going to be doing a lot of different hypothetical sports questions and concepts, and also just talking about the already emerging recent history, still hypothetical sports, and also a lot of sports that have been around for a while and just haven't been in the spotlight. For example, you've probably heard of sports such as pickleball, which has absolutely exploded in popularity recently, and some hypothetical sports concepts that I've had for a while as startups and the popularity of smaller sports and sports that have been created through fiction have gone up quite a bit recently and have been facing controversy as well as much as any other sport. Apparently, Quidditch, the crazy game on flying broomsticks from the Harry Potter series, has come under fire, not per se for something it did, but for its author, J.K. Rowling, and her transphobic comments, and they are looking to change the name. I think that is a very interesting predicament and something to keep an eye on as probably the best and biggest example we have as a true hypothetical sport from fiction going through stuff right now. I'd love to hear what you have, Isaac, on some sports that have emerged recently that you'd like to spotlight in our first episode here.
So, one interesting sport that I found is called blow ball. It's very confusing. The
I've
board that it's played on is somewhere between an air hockey table and a table tennis table, and you play it by breathing on the ball, which is
oh,
it's a choice.
and when was this invented? Do you know?
Um, a lot of different places say a lot of different times, but I'm fairly certain it was sometime in 2017.
Oh, geez, that's how did they survive COVID there? That seems a little.
I don't imagine that it was played much during COVID, but
Yeah, no. I've never heard of that. That is quite amazing. How popular is it? Is it like,
not very,
yeah, no,
not
it's
very.
probably a niche sport, but
Mm,
it's very, very interesting.
very interesting. And then another thing is darts, which you'd think has been around for a while, and it has. It existed in medieval England in a sort of proto form, not technically darts, and then it was officialized in 1893,
Wow.
but it has seen a very recent and very large increase in popularity. So that would definitely qualify as an emerging sport, even though it has been around for a surprisingly long time.
Yeah, wow, that is crazy. Oh my goodness. Now, speaking of crazy, you may have heard that breakdancing is a new sport category coming up in the upcoming Olympics. This was very surprising and an amazing example to be able to use for this podcast here, and just goes to show that whatever the sport may be in your head, it might still be able to make it all the way to the Olympics. I think this is a very cool and very uh, I hate to say it because it's overused, but a very unprecedented thing. We have not really seen something like this before, as far as I'm aware, not in terms of new sports for the Olympics, but something that is very much, I think, what most people would consider outside the sports category. Now, I would like to briefly mention here some hypothetical sports of my own because I believe it's a fun experiment and it is just a great idea and thing that I don't hear enough about. And I think if we talked about this more and let go of the concrete ideas we have of sports around the world, then we might be able to have more opportunities for more people to have fun. I used to not enjoy recesses and would only do my own thing, and that doesn't work in some environments. And some environments force you to do group sports, and maybe having just a little bit more diversity in what you can play in those environments would be very helpful. Now, unfortunately, my sport is not conducive to such environments, but it is very fun, very funny,
So the sport that I've made,
which is part of a culture of alien species that I have made, is sort of like soccer. And actually, if you've played the video game Rocket League, this is going to sound a bit familiar. So think soccer with probably half of a human sized soccer ball or multiple. I won't go into details on that, just basics. And everyone is on some sort of magical skates where you can skate on the ceiling. And yes, there's a ceiling now to every soccer arena, basically, or whatever you'd call the sport. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have quite the name for it. You basically have sort of a soccer field, but it's also vertically symmetrical. So anything is on the ground that's on the ceiling, and you can take the ball to the ceiling. You can just kick it there and pass it to a teammate who's on the ceiling, and yeah, you can dunk into the soccer net. There's all this talk of these cool new emerging hypothetical sports and some sports history here, but like, yes, those things are possible. How do you do that as just a person who might not have even any sports experience? What can we kind of do with that? And how can we expand our sports options horizons? What kind of things can just anyone do? What do you think here?
So I am, I'll admit, not very well learned in this type of thing, but I'd imagine a large part of it is just getting your ideas out there, just seeing if anyone's interested.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I think to add to that, yes, getting your ideas out there, but getting them out to the right people. You never know. It's some tech billionaire might want to fund your crazy sport. Yeah. And something else to think about is perhaps there's also quite a lot of advantage to some sports we don't have yet. And maybe there's an argument not even to create your own niche and be like, hey, look how unique my sport is, but maybe, look how much safer it is than something else. That's another option there too. And I think that's something to take account of. Now, to wrap up here briefly, I think with what can be done, those are some ideas, and we will be adding a lot more later in our series. And brief outro and a little sneak peek into our next episode, Isaac. What are we doing? What are we doing here? I'm reading the notes and I'm a little confused and a little excited.
Um,
Connecting back to the Olympics, maybe a little bit.
I don't know where I was going with that note. I'd imagine more completely hypothetical and unrealistic sports, but I honestly, for the life of me, cannot remember what I had in mind.
It says there that you were gonna be making a sport based on mythology there? Is that what I'm reading that right?
That is what that says.
Oh my
That
goodness.
is, in fact, what that says.
Okay, well, whenever you remember next episode, we are going to be exploring sports and mythology and some hypothetical mythological sports. I think this should be very exciting. And yeah,
Thank you for
peace
joining
out.
me.
Yes, thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Hypothetical Sports League out.